What is good, YouTube? It is your boy, Jogger Joe, ready to go with the beginning of hopefully a long string of videos that will come every Wednesday. This is Wrestling Wednesdays. And today we are going to be kicking it off. This is actually what's going to happen every Wednesday. We're going to have this segment where I'm going to review Raw and SmackDown, gonna give them a grade, and I'm gonna let you know which one I thought did better. This week was the Superstar Shakeup that had been uh, announced last week after WrestleMania, and it was just like, oh yeah, cool, Superstar Shakeup, yeah. Like nobody really had too much of a hey, yay, or nay about it. It was just kind of like, okay, cool, you're gonna draft. Everybody thought the thing was like, oh yeah, you're gonna draft, cool. But we're gonna get into it. We're going to start this week. The Raw opened up with uh, John Cena music, or at least you thought it was John Cena with his music. It was The Miz and Nikki Bella, or Maurice, dressed as John Cena and Nikki Bella, coming out to the music like they did, and it was really weird in my opinion because it was like, okay, they're on Raw. So why are they continuing this thing with John Cena and Nikki Bella? Like it should have been over at this point. They lost. That's it. But they kept going. They continued to pick on John Cena and Nikki Bella for their quote unquote robotic acting. I don't really get it. I think their acting is really good. I enjoy watching John Cena in his movies, but that's neither here nor there. They go on to their thing, and then who would show up but the Intercontinental Champion, Dean Ambrose? He popped up, and it was like, oh wow, that's crazy. I was actually really surprised. I thought it was I didn't really think too much about it. They said that anybody was going to be shaken up, moved on to new shows, but and here we go. It's Dean Ambrose on the Raw. I'm gonna enjoy it. A lot of people have already said like, oh, with the three of them now we have the possibility of Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns to reunite the Shield, and part of me is just like, I really hope that ends up what is because I don't want to see Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins drawn down with how negatively people boo or how people give or treat Roman Reigns. But that we'll get into that later. Yeah, with Dean Ambrose, he's on Raw. He basically shredded or he basically shredded the Miz and Maurice the way John Cena had, but not as viciously. Just basically saying that they both stink, that they're terrible, but And then the Miz doing his thing like, hey, this is me and Maurice. It's not actually John Cena and Nikki Bella. And he goes, oh, well, in that case, and hits him with a dirty deed. And that was the end of that. But, it's whatever. I thought that was a good opening segment to the show. Next, we have the New Day versus the Revival. Now, I thought this was a terrific match. I really did. I really thought it was a terrific match. Especially, it told a good story. Um, you had Kofi Kingston who was hurt, but what's his name? Big E. Big E came out with Xavier Woods, and they had the fake blow up doll that was dressed similarly to Kofi, and it was so great. It was really great. I thought that whole segment was great, and then the Revival came out, and they had on the shirt that said. Rest in peace to the ice cream cart, and we broke Kofi's ankle, and it was a really good thing. And then the match itself was really good. Xavier ate a shadow machine like nobody. I don't believe anybody had ever eaten a shadow machine ever. It was terrible, but it looked really good. So I thought it was really good. The match was great, and I'm really excited to see where the Revival goes from here. Like I really do. Next, and this one, I'm not the biggest fan of this, but it happened, so I'm gonna talk about it. Kurt Hawkins showed up on Raw, which means that he's a member of Raw, and he came out with the whole, I'm on Raw now. That means everybody's gonna have to face the facts. And Big Show comes out and he does what Big Show does. He punched him in the face and he left. And that was really the end of that, honestly. Um, Next we have T.J. Perkins and Austin Aries. It's cruiserweight time. I'm gonna talk about this because I really did enjoy this. Before this match, we had Neville kind of getting into the head of T.J. Perkins, saying like, "Oh, you know, nobody respects you. Nobody respects you except for me. I don't really like you, but I respect you so much, and I think that you have what it takes, and you're like the only person I could ever say is a true contender for this belt, this, that, and the other." And so he did to get in his head, and Austin Aries came out afterwards and was just like, "Hey man, you're not gonna let him get in your head, are you? Because it's obvious he's trying to play you." And which it was obvious to everybody, I guess, except for T.J. Perkins, because later in the match, T.J. Perkins picked up the win after Neville distracted him, and then while Austin Aries was looking down the ramp uh, at Neville, T.J. Perkins came in and attacked him. He attacked him, hit him with the I cannot think of his finisher, devastating kick, I believe it's called. Uh, and it's just starting to show a mean streak, and it's really something. I'm really excited to see where he goes with this and where he plays into this whole thing between Neville and Austin Aries. Yeah, good stuff from them. I'm sorry, I'm kind of just running through these really quickly. I'm not trying to have a long video like most people do. But next we have, well, this isn't really something that was a main focus on the show, but I do feel the need to say it. Elias Sampson, the Drifter. He was seen on the show. You can see him like in the background. He showed up on the stage, and it was weird because you know he didn't have a real spot, but at the same time, you kind of saw him there, like you know, like oh, he's here, cool. What's gonna happen? And it's whatever. It's what happens. But I thought it was good to kind of tease it without straight away saying, yeah, he's a part of Raw. So I did like that. So next, with the next segment, we actually have Seth Rollins and his fate, where he stands, and if he would actually be able to continue or where he would go, and this that, and the other. He came out and he talked about, yeah, I I want to stay here. I'm gonna stay here as long as I can. And, it was a really good uh, it was really good talking from Seth. It was really good work from him. He basically told Kurt like, "Hey, I don't want to go anywhere, and if you decide that you want to send me over to SmackDown, then you better have a whole army of people to drag me out of here because I'm not going." And so uh, Kurt Angle later came out and he was, you know, I'm not gonna have you go anywhere. You're not gonna go. I want you here. You're a true asset. And Stephanie McMahon may not like you, but I want you on my brand. As long as I'm general manager, you're gonna have a spot here. And so that was really good. And then who would attack him but Samoa Joe? And I thought this was a really good thing between the three of them because you got Samoa Joe, Seth Rollins kind of going at it, and Kurt Angle was kind of like that dad who sees his two kids fighting, and like he wants to separate them, but he doesn't really know how to do it because they're going at it so aggressively, and so he kind of like they break away from each other, and Kurt kind of like steps between them, like, "Hey, come on, chill, you got to chill," and like they continue to go at it for a little while, and Seth knocks Samoa out of the ring, and like Kurt jumps back in the middle of it, like, "Wait, like chill, don't do it," and like Samoa teased that he was going to get back in the ring, and he did it, and it was really good. I thought it was really good storytelling, and it was really good on all parts. I thoroughly did enjoy what they did. Um, Next, we have Charlotte versus Nia Jax. This match was a little lackluster, especially with, I'm not going to spoil later in the video, but if you know what happened, you know what happened with Charlotte. But it was a little lackluster. I just felt like it could have been better for what they had been trying to do with Nia Jax, making her look like the strong, dominant powerhouse, the women's division, like the strongest one in the women's division, the top bad guy in the women's division, and she could have done better. They had the two bad spots in the match where Nia tried to go for the shoulder destroyer and drop Charlotte straight on her head. I cringed very badly when I saw that. I thought it was terrible. And then the moonsault that Charlotte did, Nia was, I guess they were saying Nia wasn't in the right spot that she was supposed to be in for her to do the moonsault, and they're saying that Nia is like a dangerous worker, and honestly, in my opinion, the shoulder destroyer is one thing, but I cannot completely say that it was all on Nia when you also have to blame Charlotte because she knows how far to go. She knows where she's gonna go, and she looked before she jumped. She knew about how far she needed to jump based on where Nia was when she looked. So I'm not gonna completely put that one on her. But either way, it was a little lackluster match, honestly. Uh, Nia did get the win, and she did end up looking strong and dominant like she was supposed to. But it, like I said, it was very lackluster. I wasn't very impressed. Um, Next, I'll go over Finn Balor versus Jinder Mahal. First, before I say anything, Finn just can't catch a break. Seems like he just got back from his shoulder injury, and now it's already being reported he's out, or he's gonna be out for maybe a week or two because of a concussion. So he just can't seem to catch a break, but it happens. The match itself, honestly, was really good. It was a short match. It was short for a Monday Night Raw match. It was short, but I do think it was really good because it also set up what happened after the match. Finn Balor celebrated, he won the match, celebrated, and who would show up on the Tron except Bray Wyatt? Bray Wyatt is officially a member of Raw, and it's like, okay, cool. Bray has somewhere to go, even though he's still going to be facing Randy at the House of Horror show at Payback. He's already teasing like, okay, yeah, even though I got this, I got my eye on you, Finn. I want you to know that the Demon King had nothing on the new face of fear. I'm still one of those few people who I am gonna believe that Finn or that Bray is the new face of fear. I believe that he is. I'm gonna agree with that because especially with the Undertaker having retired, I do believe that he is the new face of fear. He's gonna take over that role. He's not gonna be the next Undertaker. Don't think that I'm saying that, but I am gonna say that he's gonna take over with what the Undertaker kind of did and how the Undertaker was kind of like that one scary, spooky person that everybody could look to be a solid powerhouse person. Uh, I think it was really good. It was good stuff all around, from the match to that little after promo. In between, I gotta say, we had the announcement that Heath Slater, Rhino, Apollo Crews, Kalisto are all coming to Raw. Now, I was a little disappointed. I can say I was a little disappointed because it's like, okay, cool. They don't even get TV time. You just show a picture and say, yeah, they're gonna be on Raw. What is that? What is that? That's a little slow work for them. But I am excited because now it's like, okay, they're moving over to a 3 hour show. We get to see maybe we get to see that they have something to do. They might have somewhere to go. We might see a title push for one of them or a title reign for one of them. We don't know. It's possible. Anything's possible. But yeah, it was very lackluster to just announce it instead of have them come out like the others did. Next, we have Miz and Sami Zayn. They earlier in the show had a little standoff in Kurt's office where he was like, "Yeah, I'm here and I don't want to go anywhere." And Miz was like, "Did you see what Dean Ambrose just did to me? This is unfair." And Sammy, being that school kid esque type person, he was like, "Oh, excuse you. I was having a conversation with the general manager. You can't just do that to me. I believe that was rude of you." And they just went back and forth. And Kurt was like, "Okay, we're not going to do this. I'm not here for the politicking. You go out in the ring and settle it." So they went out to the ring later in the night and they started settling it. It was the Miz and Sami Zayn. They did a good job, really, really showing that they didn't really like each other, even though they haven't had too much of a chance to really be against each other, be around each other. Uh, Daniel Bryan's still doing the whole making fun of, or wow, the Miz still doing the whole thing of making fun of Daniel Bryan, saying like doing the whole like yes chant, doing the kicks and all of that. It was good. It was a good match, honestly. Sami Zayn got the win. Of course, after Maurice got some shenanigans in, pulling, I believe, the Miz out of the ring. Uh, had the Miz mocking Sami Zayn with the ole 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 chants, having those. It was a good. I think it was. I think it was good. Um, this honestly is my favorite. This was my favorite part overall. I can honestly say, we had the backstage interview with Roman Reigns. Michael Cole was doing the interview, and Roman was like, "Yeah, I didn't really want to do, but I did what I had to do." Blase, blase, blase. And then Braun Strowman. And if you watched Monday Night Raw, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's not much else minus and then Braun Strowman. He came in and attacked Roman. He grabbed him and threw him into the wall, into the garage door, threw him over. I think he threw him over one of the boxes and through a table. It was crazy. Then he did the walkout slam where he threw him onto one of the cable boxes. Then he smushed his head between the wall and and I believe the same cable box or one of the other ones. And then they had Roman on a stretcher. Braun came back and pushed him over the ledge into the garage, and everybody was freaking out. Well, all of the backstage people were freaking out. They got him up and they were like throwing him to the ambulance, and they got him into the ambulance. And you heard Braun, I'm like, "I'm not through with you yet." Like he comes back and he wails on Roman a little bit more, and then he does what I still am having troubles believing. He takes the ambulance, picks it up, and flips it. And I won't, and that kind of leads it is a little misleading when I say that, but I mean, like he grabbed it and tilted it over and just put it on its side like it was nobody's business. And I couldn't tell if it was somebody helping him or what, but it was really good. I thought it was a really good thing. It was really good showing it made Braun look like a freaking monster, and I enjoyed that very much so. But we just got to see where it goes here. The crowd was 100% for it. They were, "Thank you, Strowman." And as Roman was getting taken out in a different ambulance, they were doing the whole la 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 hey 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 goodbye. They were doing that. It was so crazy, to just really see just how negatively that they do Roman Reigns. And don't get me wrong, I'm not really trying to defend him because I'm one of the few people who, well, I'm one of the majority, I should say, who really I feel some type of way about him because he retired The Undertaker. Do I still have respect for him? Yes. Do I really like him? Not so much. But that's just what's going to happen. Speaking of, we might just see Roman Reigns get beat up again in my next WWE 2K17 video. You never know. Next, we have a very hellacious 8-man tag team match with the Hardy Boys, Cesaro and Sheamus versus the Club and the Shining Stars. Let me just say before we get into it, let me just say the Hardy Boys. A lot of people have been disappointed. They were like, "Oh, it's the Hardy Boys. They should have just kept the broken thing." They're doing a nostalgia thing right now. They're letting just the sheer nostalgia of the Hardys run its course. Because to be honest, I'm not upset that they're not doing the broken thing. And to be fair, you can't even say they're not doing the broken thing. It's just that they haven't had time to really expand on it. Because if you watch their intro, Matt Hardy still does the thing with his hand, like he'll still do the delete motion. He'll even say it. It's just they're not going to the full length that they did before they got to WWE because they're doing a whole nostalgia thing about it, and I like that. I like that they're doing like, oh yeah, it's the Hardy. We're having a chance to really see uh, the Hardy. We got a chance to see them in their glory. That's what I like. But it was a good match. Got a lot of good wrestling out of all eight of them. Honestly, had the Hardys got a few good spots. They were able to jump, do Jeff doing his high flying thing like he always does, and just the Hardys and Cesaro and Sheamus, who are the number one contenders for the Hardys tag team belt. They showed up. They won. They got the pinfall. It was great. It was just great. It was. I cannot wait to see more of them. We have, oh Jesus, the women. We have more women who show up on Raw from SmackDown. Alexa Bliss and Mickey James. They're not done with their little skirmish that they have from SmackDown because Mickey James is still really upset with uh, Alexa about it. It was a good thing. It was. I think it was good. It was. They didn't really get too much chance to talk because who would to show up and pretty much run over run over Mickey James, but Nia Jax. She came in. She ran over Mickey James. Alexa Bliss kind of got out of the ring quickly. She pushed Sasha and Bailey, who were in the ring. They started out the whole thing. They were trying to do something, but then they were interrupted by the aforementioned Alexa and Mickey. And they all got run over by Nia except for Alexa. She got out of the way quickly. The second week in a row, young lady has gotten out of the way quickly because they did not want to suffer Nia's wrath. I forgot to mention about Dana Brooke got a good little bit of time on TV by herself. She was shown reading a book that was like, oh, how to be your own protege. Emma shows up and she's like, oh, how quickly we forget that you used to be my protege. You used to do this, that, and the other. And Dana Brooke was like, no, screw that. I'm not about to be anybody's protege anymore. I'm going to do this on my own 2 feet. I'm not going to follow behind anybody ever again. And that's just that. And she walked off, and I think it was really good. I, I'm one of the few people, I guess, in my friend group. I don't know how they feel about him, but I know I really enjoy Dana Brooke. I think that she has a lot of potential, and I would love to see her as a main player in the women's division in the coming months and year as we continue to move on. Main event. I'll get to the end of this segment for Raw. Kevin Owens, Dean Ambrose. They had their thing. They had a one-on-one match. Title versus, well, it wasn't title versus title. It was a champion versus champion match. It was a really good match. I really do think it was a really. I know I've said that about pretty much all the matches. It was a good match. It was a solid bout between the two. Both of them ended up looking very good in their own right. Kevin looking like a freaking monster of a man who's just like, oh, you know what? I do this because I can. Screw you. I don't have to justify myself to you. Dean Ambrose looking like, hey man, I'm just here. I'm the champion. I'm just here to do what I do. And it was a good match. Um, Owens having the whole I'm the United States champion, and he he's the he was like, oh, I'm the United States champion. I'm like the face of America. Blah 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 blah. It was a good thing. It was a good match. I enjoyed it very much. I think that Raw had a very good week or a very good show for this week, especially with the uncertainty of the superstar shakeup. All right, so next we have SmackDown, and I really enjoyed this week's SmackDown. They had a really good show, but we're not going to get into that right now. We're going to go. we're gonna just do it. It started out with who else but the United States champion Kevin Owens. He's now on SmackDown, which means that the two mid card titles, the United States and the IC title, switched. One went to Raw, one went to SmackDown. They switched instead of it being the IC belt on SmackDown and the US belt on Raw. They switched, so now the US belt is on SmackDown and the IC belt is on Raw. That's a good thing. I thought it was great. Kevin Owens came out basically was like, you know what? I don't care about any of you guys cheering for me. I'm the United States champion, which means I'm the face of the United States. I'm the face of America. I'm the best champion on this show. There's nothing that you can do. This is the Kevin Owens show, and that's how it's always going to be. Then Baron Corbin comes out. Baron Corbin comes out. He basically says, you know what? I beat the IC champion. The IC champion beat you, which means I would not have any problem with you. But since we're on the subject of titles, I am due for a championship match, meaning I want your belt. Kevin Owens goes, ha, you know what? No, screw you. And then enter Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is like, oh, well, you know, I'm here too. You can't say anything. I want that belt just as bad as Baron does. And who else would have come out but the face that runs the place, AJ Styles? He comes out, he basically says, look here, I don't care who you think you are. This isn't the Kevin Owens show. This is SmackDown Live, also known as the house that AJ Styles built. And so basically, they all just exchange back and forth. Daniel Bryan comes out. He says, "All right, look what's gonna happen. No matter who the champion is, be it Kevin Owens or Chris Jericho, because they still have a rematch coming up at Payback. If you didn't know, no matter who it is, the championship, as well as the person who holds the championship, will come to SmackDown Live. Which means we're not going to have a championship match. We're not going to have a championship match on SmackDown for the United States title for another good 3 weeks. The fans booed for that, but it happened. So he said, but in the meantime, we can decide who our number one contender will be. So what we're going to do, we're going to have Baron Corbin, AJ Styles, Sami Zayn in a triple threat match to determine the United States number one contender. Okay, cool. So that was the end of that. Next, we have Eric Rowan versus Randy Orton. This match was every bit of what it needed to be. It was a good kind of segue match to kind of further build up the hype for this House of Horrors match that Bray Wyatt has set up, which JBL said it, which I don't always agree with what JBL has to say on commentary, but it's true. Randy Orton has no idea what this House of Horrors match is going to be. He just agreed to it, and that's what you don't know what it's going to be. We already kind of see that, like, oh, Randy Orton's going to win because they're not going to have two great main title belts on one show, but you know, it's whatever. The match itself was short lived. It kind of, you saw Randy Orton get his few big moves in, Eric got his few moves in, and then Bray Wyatt would show up on the Titantron, distract Randy Orton. Randy Orton would go turn around to Eric Rowan, go outside, and Eric would hit him with the steel steps, causing a disqualification. And that was the end of that. That was very short lived, but like I said, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. Next, we have American Alpha versus the Usos, with having a WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. I believe this was their ending sort of match, like their, oh, this is the end of it. That's it. No more of these two for a good little while. It was a wild match. It was kind of one sided in my opinion. I thought the American Alpha they kind of ruled the match more so than the Uso. The Uso did have their spot, but it wasn't as much as the American Alpha did. The end of the match came with a blind tag, a super kick, a splash, and then that was the end of it. After the match, this is something I'm actually really excited about. I'm excited to see where this goes. After the match, Primo and Epico come out. They're on SmackDown now. The Shining Stars are on SmackDown. They attack American Alpha. And I think they looked really good. I want to see where they're going to go with this. I want to see what's going to happen. I hope it doesn't mean disaster for American Alpha, but at the same time, I think this could really play into something great for the Shining Stars, possibly even a SmackDown Tag Team uh, Championship run. Before I go into the next match, I also really forgot to mention commentators have also switched. We got Byron Saxton switching from Raw to SmackDown. He switched with David Otunga. And let me just honestly say right here, right now, I am so happy that Byron Saxton is away from Corey Graves because I don't think I could have bearably sat through Corey Graves just completely shitting and bullying uh, Byron Saxton week in week out like he had done. It gets to a point to where it's just annoying, and I'm so happy that they actually moved them away from each other. But you know that's just my 2 cents. We're gonna keep moving into the show. Next we have Jinder Mahal and Mojo Rawley, which was like it was a good grudge match from WrestleMania, because honestly, if it weren't for Rob Gronkowski, it wouldn't. Jinder Mahal would have been the winner of the Andre the Giant Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. It was a relatively short match. Jinder looked really good, but at the same time, he just couldn't get the win. Rob was in the audience again. This time, I don't believe that Jinder had provoked Rob as he did at WrestleMania, because this time all he did, he was standing there. They were trash talking each other, but Bojo was the one who he came up from behind and attacked him, and then Rob, being the bad guy that he is, splashed Jinder in the face with his beer, and it's like, come on, that's not cool. You already had gotten your revenge for helping Rojo win the uh, Battle Royal, but it's whatever. Mojo got the win, of course, as most, mostly all of the Under the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winners have. It happened, so we'll just keep moving from there. That's just the end of it. Uh, Next, we have Shane McMahon came out. He did the address of the women, the SmackDown Women's Division. Came out, had all of the women that were left. We had uh, Naomi came out, women's champion. Feel the glow. She's my favorite women's wrestler at the moment. And we had Natalia, Carmella, and Becky Lynch. It was the four of them, I believe. It was just the four of them. Then they were in the ring. Shane McMahon was talking, and then Carmella was like, "Oh my God, you need to shut up." Da 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 da. James Ellsworth was saying what he had to say. I don't really remember. I don't care at this point. James Ellsworth has gotten really annoying, and Naomi, being which it was a little I wouldn't say stereotypical. It was a little like her character, I guess you could say. She was like, excuse me, no, Carmella, you better get your little. I think her words were, "You better get your girlfriend before I snatch her, put her in her place," or something like that. It was really good. It was good to see Naomi, a strong woman, kind of towering over James Ellsworth and kind of making him look like he was a little punk. I like that. So Shane McMahon, he taunts that Charlotte's going to be the one to come out, and then who else? Tamina Snuka. I really liked it. I thought, like, okay, cool. I forgot that Tamina was a wrestler. I did. She is back. Her father recently passed away. But at the same time, it's cool. I'm glad that she's back. I'm glad to see that they're going to do something with her, because this actually creates variation. It creates diversity in what they can do besides having the same 3 or 4 women. Speaking of the same 3 or 4 women, who else did we get to come to SmackDown from Raw but Charlotte? Uh, she came out, and she didn't even come all the way to the ring. She just stood on the stage and kind of did her thing with her robe, and that was the end of that. So, I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm just like, it could be better. Uh, Next, we have Aiden English versus Ty Dillinger. For those of you who know, Simon Gotch recently have left the WWE. I can't remember right off the top of my head if he was fired or if he asked for his release. But either way, Aiden English came out. He was like, "Oh yes, without anybody with me. The spotlight is now on me. I can move on. I can do this, that, and the other. And before he could finish, which let me just say, I think that whole singing thing that he does is really weird. I do. I don't like it at all. But it's his character. I get it. Ty Dillinger comes out. He uh he comes he comes out do the whole 10 thing. I really enjoy it. I enjoy Ty Dillinger. I think that he has a lot of I think he had a lot of potential in him on the main roster. I think that within the year we will see him with a championship. I believe that. But from now until next April, I believe we're going to see him with a championship at least once. The match was very short lived. It was, honestly, you could almost say it was a squash because it was really one sided. Ty Dillinger did all of like 5 or 6 moves. Then he did the tiebreaker, and that was the end of it. Uh, we get a little thing. We find out some more superstars that are coming to SmackDown. Lana and Rusev, they're coming. They're coming as separate people. They're not gonna be. They're not going to be the same people. That's really weird, but or they're not going to be together. That's really weird because we all know that they're married. We all know that they're a couple, and I know da whatever you have you. But they're going to be separate, and I think that's really strange. But I also think it had a lot of I keep using the word potential because that's what a lot of things have. I think it's going to work. I think it could work, especially since they're trying to build up the women's division. They need a lot of women who will help the division, and I think that Lana could. She possibly will. She's been out because Rusev has been out because of a shoulder injury, had shoulder surgery. So they let him know that he's coming. Sin Cara, he's coming to SmackDown. Really, I don't know what they're going to do with him. I don't really care because he hasn't been on TV in so long. I'm just kind of like, where did he go? He was at WrestleMania, but very shortly, so it wasn't too much of a thing. Uh, I guess while I'm talking about announcements, they announced that the New Day is going to be coming to SmackDown, and I really, 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 really am very, really, very extremely happy that they are. I think that this is going to be great. I think they're going to make a great addition to SmackDown, especially since for a little while it seemed like they didn't have too much to do as far as, they lost the belt, and then it was just like, oh yeah, we're the longest reigning tag champs, but we're not doing anything. We're just kind of here, there, and everywhere. And while I'm also on the subject of the New Day, can I just openly say I'm so glad that a recent scandal, I'm not going to go into detail, just a recent scandal that involved Xavier Woods, I'm glad that it didn't slow down or cause a harm to his or Xavier or Kofi's careers. I'm so glad that none of them have been negatively affected by this scandal of pages which tied Xavier Woods into it. But that's just me. Next we have Dolph Ziggler came out. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna be here." Blah 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 blah. Then Shinsuke Nakamura comes out. They have a little stare down. Dolph goes, "Who are you? I don't know who you are." Blah blah blah. Shinsuke goes, you want to know who I am? I'm Shinsuke Nakamura. And Dolph, being the bad guy, tries to kick Shinsuke. Shinsuke grabs him and is like, nah, nah, nah. And he throws him back, and he does that thing where he like leans back and like, come on! And it was really cool. And I like what they're doing, but at the same time, I'm a little upset because it's like, don't tease that you're gonna have Shinsuke Nakamura and that he's gonna have a match and not give me a match because I really want to see it. I've seen his matches in NXT. I know what he's good for. I know that he is really good. And let me see it. That's what I want. I want you to let me see a match on SmackDown, even if it is against Dolph Ziggler. I don't like him, but I think it would be a good stepping stone for both of them because both of them can benefit from this. But Jesus Christ, let me see Shinsuke against somebody. Uh, Last thing we have is AJ Styles, Baron Corbin, Sami Zayn. This is a really good match. We have a good showing from all three of them. Baron, of course, like he has been for the past 2 or 3 months, is just looking strong as ever. He's looking like a guy who can take on anybody that you put in front of him. But for some whatever reason, he just has not been able to grasp that ring that he needs. He's so close. Sami Zayn got like a good showing for his first night on SmackDown. Uh, Ultimately, AJ Styles got the win. Ultimately, he got the win. I thought it was a good match because it was every way, shape, form, and fashion what they needed to have for their first SmackDown of the quote unquote superstar shakeup. I think it was really good and I enjoyed it. So, with that being said, I know I didn't go into too much detail for that, but that just happened. With that being said, now I will give a grade to both of them. I really thought that Raw had a lot of good things, but at the same time, it was on top of a lot of good, it was a lot of bad because at the same time, it was like, come on, they could have executed the whole superstar shakeup a lot better than they did. But I'm just complaining because I've been here since I was like 6 or 7 years old. So I have a lot of old history to see compared to now. But that's neither here nor there. My final grade for Raw would be a 90. I would give them a 90, just a 90, a basic A minus. And I think that looking forward, I see that there will be some good shows coming ahead because they brought in some good people, they let go of some good people, but at the same time, it's going to be really good to have a good showing. So I think it's going to be good. SmackDown, they had, excuse me, they had a lot of good and bad, same as Raw, but overall, I think they did just a little bit better because just the matches did more to set up. Their matches set up more of what is to come, less than Raw. Raw didn't really set up what is to come. Um, they didn't really set up what's to come for their superstars. Raw, SmackDown did, and I really did enjoy that. So my final grade for SmackDown is a 92. And I truly believe that SmackDown won this week. And I know comparing the two is almost like comparing apples to oranges, but they're both from the same farmer. So, you know, you could really compare if they're from the same farmer, you can compare the two produce because the farmer should have the same kind of really strategy of going about both. But yeah, that's my final thing. I hope to continue this. For all of you who think that this one was really lengthy, I don't apologize because this is my first one, so it happens. Hopefully they will get shorter, or at least I'll just get a better formula for doing this in the future. Uh, yeah, like I said, that's what it is. I hope to see you guys later. I hope you guys, if you enjoyed this, please like it, give me a thumbs up down below, comment what you thought of this week. Please, because I love to have conversations with you guys. Comment, tweet to me, tweet what you think that this show was. I just think it was really good. Please share the video because share it with your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your grandma, your granddad, your uncle, your aunt, your niece, your nephew, your neighbor, your neighbor's kid, your neighbor's pets, your own pets if you have some. Usually I don't go through my whole outro for non-Nuzlocke things, but I just felt like this would be fun to do it just one more time for the day. Uh, yeah, but like I said, oh, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to me because if you haven't already, you're just not doing life correctly. Now, with that being said, I will holla at you guys later. Please continue to support me and also the official release of everything WWE. You can watch them everywhere else. Holla at you guys. Holla at your boy. Peace.